of description to me. And look at what's inside of the man in front of us.
Ah, the 8th Genesis. The centerpiece of all that's happened these past 2 months.
So you've come, Ben or cried. And you brought the other fixers with you, along with a few fresh faces.
Well, you were the one who told me to be in front of Treon Tower at 4:30 p.m. I'm probably a little late, but hey, time's frozen. Nice when technicalities work in your favor.
Yeah, I suppose you get a pass.
The hell? He's talking like a normal-ass person now.
Well, aside from the demonic reverberation anyway.
Yeah. Though, why do I get the feeling I've heard that voice before?
You're right. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, I hear it too. And when he speaks, I can feel my chest tighten.
Then is he someone you all know? Or is it possible that...
Maybe we know him too. You do know him. But I can't reveal who he is. Since we're in close proximity of the 8th, maybe you can call out to her now, Van.
Good point. There!
What took you so long? You have no sense of urgency. You made me sit there in the background for ages, and then you replaced me? Your name was Lapis, right? While I appreciate your help up to now, I've got everything under control. So why don't you buzz off? Fine, fine. You can have Van back. I was simply repaying what I owed. Now hush. You're interrupting a very important conversation. Whoa. Hope he just shut her down. She's like her older sibling.
Well, while that certainly is cute, we really should get back to the subject at hand.
Right. I hope you all know how much I appreciate your help. Thanks to you guys, I can finally put this 4SPG to bed.
Van.
First things first. Let's see if my suspicions are right on the mirror. Can't move forward until we do that, right?
Correct. Just as the smallest units of a matter have their own particles and waveforms, my existence is ever in a state of flux. It cannot be validated without first being observed. You must...
Fair enough. As soon as I got your message this morning, I knew for sure that you were C. We're positive that you aren't the first or second C. Testimony from the people who knew him makes that clear as day. Now then, there was something that stuck out to me when I was going over the notes again. The warnings there were stated so plainly, I couldn't get a beat on who could have written them. That's the mark of a real pro. A pro who specializes in multiple fields, writing, among others.
Multiple fields? Wait. Oh, I get it now.
And that's when it hit me. There's only one person I know who has such an annoying attention to detail. When that thought came to mind, I immediately said to myself, there's no way. But after learning the Garden Master's true identity, fighting through hell and back during that coup, and seeing people be recreated by the 8th Genesis, I couldn't entirely dismiss the idea.
A deceased revolutionary, clinging to existence like a parasite.
And the Genesees recreating versions of Jin and Kilika, who were almost like abstractions.
Not bad. However, there is still one small thing you failed to pick up on. If I am who you believe me to be, then tell me, What reason would I have to hide behind the name C? Why would I adopt an ill-conceived alias used by those who operated in the shadows of Crossbell and the Empire?
That's the easy part, actually. There's a reason you chose the name C in particular, outside of needing a convenient smokescreen. And that reason has less to do with the name itself, and more to do with its placement in the alphabet. You picked C because it would conceal your real initials, while also falling right in between them.
I never considered that.
The alphabet? The letters before and after C would be...
B and D. I don't believe the order matters in this particular instance.
Yeah. So, here's our answer. About time you showed your face. Dingo Brad.
You get a passing mark, then. You not only ascertained my true identity, but also the reason I chose to conceal it. Now you can bear witness to my true form, a mere shard-based replica, the shadow of my old self. You, on the other hand, are the same as ever. You may be a year older, but time hasn't smoothed your rough edges.
Yeah, whatever.
I feel like I just walked into a retirement home. Still.
I did have my suspicions. But even now, I still can't wrap my head around all this.
The idea of him being the third C never even crossed my mind. So, he's a shard replica?
Does that mean... No. I thought that may have meant the real Dingo was still with us. But that isn't the case, is it?
No, I'm not of this world anymore. As you already know, my life ended when Cray Village ceased to be. Unlike the immovable and the flying swallow, this form wasn't created based on a pre-existing body. The circumstances surrounding its creation run parallel to what happened to that Basel professor, and are a direct result of what transpired in Cray.
Did you say Basel? Do you mean Professor Callahan?
His memories and personality were converted into an AI by the 5th Genesis.
I've reviewed the footage of the Cray incident countless times over. Even I never once considered the possibility of it sparking a convergence.
Is that really what happened?
Man.
Aptly put, Mr. Presidential Aide. When the end had arrived, I resigned myself to my fate. But in those last few moments, I felt a pang of regret. Despite how I viewed myself, I knew there were others who cared for my well-being, who would mourn my passing. But I anticipated Dante's intentions. I could have saved everyone. By not doing more for those people, I committed an egregious sin. That moment of overwhelming shame and self-loathing was the origin point, where my observed existence was absorbed into the network.
That's unbelievable. Melchior had connected the legacy, which happens to be an observation device, to the orbital network. And that meant your consciousness had been stored in the core of the 8th Genesis.
The pieces are slowly coming together.
All in a split second? Wait, no. Time isn't really an issue here, is it?